What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be looking at Kali Linux. What is Kali Linux, you may ask? Well, it's an operating system based on Linux, but it's similar to Debian or Ubuntu, but it's made for hacking. Yes, hacking. Let me turn that off and go there. All right. So in this video, we're going to be going over what Kali Linux is, what it's used for, and its features, and how to set it up. We're going to be setting up on I don't have mental capacity right now. It is 1:30 in the morning, and I spent 4 hours trying to get my camera set up. So, OBS is a horrible software. I fucking hate it. I have a total of 3-4 cameras set up, and you'll see a decent amount of those in this video, so you'll kind of understand. Anybody that has used OBS knows that if you're doing anything more than like 2, it causes issues. Set up all the way to exploring the desktop a little, just getting a feel for everything that you would go through when you are setting it up. So, what is Kali Linux? Well, like I said, it's a operating system based off of Linux that is used for penetration testing, which is the term used by white, gray, and red hat hackers, which, if you're watching this video, there's a good possibility you're a green hat hacker, which is a basically new, unskilled hacker. But that doesn't mean you can't learn, and then you would fall into a group of whatever you are hacking for. So, white and red hat hackers are typically like the good guy. They're most likely going to be hired by a company or someone to get their systems tested. They'll be looking at vulnerabilities and pretty much anything that is not good for the system, and they'll help point it out to whoever owns it so that can be fixed, so the black hat hackers can't get in, which kind of explains who the black hat hackers are. They're the not so good people. And before, you may have heard that I mentioned gray hat hackers, which are kind of on the line. They don't always have the best morals, but they have no malicious intent. So they might do something that could harm a system, but they're not doing that to take the information for themselves. They're doing that so that they can point out that vulnerability to the system owner. So we now know difference between who might use it and what they would use it for. It is a possibility that black hat hackers could use Kali Linux as a malicious tool. I do not recommend anybody that is just starting hacking stuff to get into Kali Linux. It's a extremely powerful tool, and you could harm your own devices, your own network, or other people's devices and break a bunch of laws that you don't know about. And that's the other thing. I recommend looking at laws in your local area and finding out what you're able to do and what you're not able to do. Like where I live, I'm able to pretty much get the owner's permission and then, hack on their network. Yeah, so I would recommend, if you haven't done any hacking stuff before, take a class or watch a couple YouTube tutorials on a little bit of a less powerful tool. Wireshark is a great tool. It's a packet sniffer, and you can pull a lot of information from a network, and it doesn't cause a lot of harm to the network if something does go wrong. So let's get into what Kali has to offer. Kali is a free open source operating system based on Debian. Kali has over 600 tools specifically for penetration testing. Kali supports a lot of wireless interfaces, but I do recommend that you I will have a link below to a database that will help you find a wireless interface card or USB device that supports monitor mode, which is what you need to do a lot of the wireless stuff. So you need monitor mode to be able to do stuff on most networks. You would need that to do some packet sniffing stuff, specifically with Linux, I believe, or Kali Linux. Yeah, so just check that link down below, and not a product link or anything. It's just a database that'll show you what you need to be able to use monitor mode, and typically how much it'll cost. It also has pictures along with it, so you can see how bulky it might be if you're trying to travel light. And lastly, Kali does support multiple languages. Alright, so we're going to start with the Raspberry Pi. So that's good for if you are coming here now for the Raspberry Pi stuff. Yay! So, here are a few things you may need if you are setting up your Raspberry Pi on or for Linux. So it depends on how you're setting it up, obviously. But you obviously need Raspberry Pi. Nice few SD cards, SD card readers, power supply. You may need adapters, depends on which Raspberry Pi you're using. You may need USB hubs, just because you're using 3-4 things, that 4 get used up quickly. Wi-Fi thingy thing, Bluetooth thingy thing, 2 brain cell work well. Mouse, HDMI cable, keyboard, battery bank, and Ethernet cable. Like I said, these are things you may need, not guaranteed, because like I said, if you have a wireless adapter like I do, you won't need the Ethernet cable. If you're using a lot of devices, or a little amount of devices, you may or may not need USB hubs. Like I said, you may or may not need adapters for like HDMI and shit. Be gone. on. Yeet. Okay. So, like I said, I'm using a Raspberry Pi. You can't see it. Like I said, I'm using a Raspberry Pi 3B. If you want to use other ones, you can. I would say the 3 and the 4 are fairly useful, but like when you get down to the 2 or the 0 wireless, or even the 0, it gets a little limited on what it can do. Don't need that. I will be needing you. Don't think I need Bluetooth. Probably need you. You are an SD card. You are an SD card. You are an SD card. You are a SD card. There. 3. Alright. So. Make sure you guys can. This is the micro SD card I'm going to be using. It is a 64 gigabyte micro SD card, which for the Raspberry Pi I would recommend at the minimum have a 32 gig, just because, well, you're using it as an operating system, and the operating system itself will take up 3-4 gigs without too many tools, and then if you depending on tools, it gets more and more. So useful. Better to have more than not enough. I will be using. I guess I could use the adapter if I wanted to. I guess we'll just have to see if USB decides to work today. Like I said, my laptop's struggling enough at 72%, and the only thing the laptop's recording is this camera, the top-down camera. It's not recording the face cam. It couldn't do that. I had to switch it to my desktop. That's fun. So if it gets glitchy, sorry about that. I'm right now not in control, and I can't even see it. So hopefully this stays stable, especially because I'm recording at 1:30 in the morning. Hopefully there's not too many devices using stuff on the network. Alright, so we got our power brick, HDMI cable set up. Now I will be using, so when I load into Kali Linux originally, not originally. When I load into Kali Linux, it will be I won't be able to record it. So to combat that, because I am poor and cannot afford a capture card, there's webcam, this wonderful view. Not great, but it will work. Now for when I'm screen recording, like on my laptop, I will be using this view, which as you can see is a lot clearer, and that is just to help everybody's eyes out. But yeah, so we'll be using that when we're downloading all the software and setting everything up on the PC side. Oh, this is the pie hole. I don't want to lose my pie hole. That would not be good. Yeah, possibility of a video coming on this in the future. Pie hole's interesting, it just has its flaws. pretty easy to set up now, but then again, you also networks like AT&T, but I really don't want you to use anything else other than their router, because that's illegal. Alright. So, I'm not using battery bank. Hopefully that didn't break much. Yeah. A little bit more. So, we'll just use move everything out of the way, bring this up, and then grab our keyboard, and we can now start with getting everything set up. Let's go ahead and open it. So links to everything I use will be in the description below. If you need to play with it, just let me know, and we will make sure anything that isn't down there gets put in. Next. So I had to change a bunch of settings on my phone, so it was really dark, and we'll figure that out later. Alright, so now I have a little notepad of what I need. So this is going to be the link to get the Raspberry Pi image. It is not on the Cal website. It goes to the parent company, I believe, which is Offensive Security, and it's an ARM image, and here I'm using Wi-Fi. Am I not connected to Wi-Fi or something? Ooh. Nice. Alright, so here is where they have all of their images for ARM computers in general. So you have your Chromebooks. We're going to be using this section right here for the Raspberry Pi Foundation. But just to explore down, they have the Banana Pi, which is similar to Raspberry Pi, but you can find them a little cheaper. But yeah, so there's a bunch of different options if you do decide to use another device. But like I said, we are using the Raspberry Pi today, so we will be using the 64-bit version for the 2, 3, and 4. As you can see, they have other versions for the Pi in general. And then, I don't know, this is probably the first Pi. And this is the Pi 0, Pi 2, 3, and 4, 2, 3, and 4 64-bit. Now, the 64-bit should be a little easier to use, hopefully. But like I said, the download for it is 1.9 gigs, so might as well start it now. And that's considering I have gig Ethernet. It shouldn't really be taking this long. Let's get in there. But if you wanted the torrent, which some of you may want, just this link next to whichever image you want, and it'll download your torrent. So while that is downloading, there are two different versions of the software we can use. there's grab it. Bellina Etcher, which is what I will be using, but you could also use Rufus, and I believe you can use Rufus for the Raspberry Pi stuff. Not sure. I know you can for the live boot, and I believe Bellina you can use. The Bellina Etcher you can use either. So we're gonna go to bellina.io and we'll grab that. Good. Working. Alright, here we go. So we're just scrolling down, about halfway down, and we have our downloads. We are going to be downloading Windows Portable Installer. Now, I guess we'll do the installer here. Now, I already have Bellina set up, so I'm not quite sure what this will do, but it's fairly easy to set up from what I remember. Come on. Yeah, the Kali Linux one's going to take forever. It's a Friday. Why not stay up all night making a video? Because that's what stupid people do. Bellina. Two. Oh, Windows dialog. Wonderful. Are you going to load or not? Hello? Not responding. What more could I expect from a shitty laptop? And it's not that shitty either. There's an i7 7th gen in it. It doesn't have great graphics. Doesn't have dedicated graphics. But it should be working fairly easily considering, well, all the processing should be on the CPU, which seems to not know what it's doing considering it goes from spikes from 40 to like 90. No, bad, no, bad, 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 no, bad, stop, be gone. Alright, how do... Chrome is not... No. I want Chrome, so I'm waiting for Kali. Encoder overloaded. Consider turning down your video settings. Like I said, right now, all this laptop's recording is this screen. So that's fun. Fuck. Shit. Damn it. A little less lean back. disappointed every single time it just says it is safe to remove. Oh, it's stuck on 1.8. What a surprise! In the time it still actually hasn't finished, and I have downloaded both and put them on a USB drive. The fuck is wrong with you? Alright, so don't kill my PC. Okay. There's a lot of things plugged into this, and it scares me. Bruh. Oh, this is... Bad game removes. It looks like it's fucking finished. And that is why I closed it last time. Because it looks like it's fucking finished. But no. Oh no, that's the fuck wrong one. Exit. Fuck you. Suck your own cock. We're gonna go from Cali. And I'm going to grab both. And we shall watch together as it completes before that were finished. This is actually the drive I was planning on using the live boot for, but well, speed. Zoom out. Zoom out. Work. Work. I would love to throw my hacky sack at you. Ha, ha, creative name scheme. Fuck. Hour 2:04. Fuck, that doesn't even make sense. Meh. Hour 11:03. That also makes absolutely no sense, but I give two shits nuts. I don't know if you can tell, but I start acting drunk when I get really tired. Meh. Is this anywhere near done yet? Ow. Bruh. I have one brain cell left. He is now lonely and contemplating suicide. Well, sucks for him. Because he's last, he cannot leave. Wee. Woo. That would be fun. Meh. See you guys tomorrow. Be gone, thought. What is going on, guys? It is now 2 days later. Because, well, I didn't feel like filming, and yeah, pretty much that. I got lazy, and this is what we get. So, where we left off was I had just finished the Raspberry Pi one, which is good. We'll get to that in just a second, but first, I'm going to go ahead and do the live boot. I will be using this red USB key drive, whatever you want to call it. I've done both of these before. The Raspberry Pi is okay. At points it can be slow. This takes, the live boot in general, in my experience, takes a little bit to boot up. But once it's up, it's typically smooth running depending on the computer it's running on. This is what I was using for it. It's a 2 terabyte external hard drive, just because I tend to use it often. And I have another drive that I'm using as my backup drive. So I had a spare drive laying around that I could use, or wasn't using. So I turned it into the appropriately named Hacky Sack. And the Hacky Sack is extremely useful. It doesn't have, I don't think it has all the tools. I think I may have removed some, maybe. It's been a minute because of quarantine. I haven't really had to use it. I can use other computers and operating systems I have. But yeah, so right now, let's go ahead and switch. Well, first, I'm not sure if I'm going to include one of the previous clips, but I ended up just using my computer that's connected, my desktop that's connected via Ethernet, and downloading both files and putting it on this, because it was taking forever to download it, and it didn't seem that it, I was not recording. There we go. Alright. So, yeah, so these two files I had downloaded on my desktop, like I said, that's connected via Ethernet, so it actually gets my full gig instead of the Wi-Fi and OBS running and all of that seemed to slow it down and cause a lot of problems with my computer. But, yeah, so we use those files to do it. I will still show you guys where to find. I'll minimize all of that. Alright. Cancel that, yeah. Close that out. The fuck? Alright about that. Grab the link real quick. So this is going to be the live boot. So this is going to be the one on the Kali website. I know at one point they had people that were mimicking the website, so make sure you get the Kali.org downloads website. Yeah, so they're fresh files every few months, so whenever they come out with an update, you'll want to keep an eye on that. I'm going to be using, I think it's the 32-bit that I downloaded, just so it's compatible with, yeah, the i386 is what it's going to download as, and that is the Kali Linux 32-bit live. it's going to be a 2.6 gigabyte file. This is the 2020.3, and just like the other one, if you want it for torrent, that's just clicking that link right there. Let me switch back on over to OBS, make sure everything's still working. And down here, if you guys wanted VMware stuff, it's there. If you want installers, it's there. This is where you're going to find a lot of the main stuff, but we had to go to a different website to get the we had to go to the offensive security website in order to get the Raspberry Pi version. So yeah, if you want the 64-bit, that will not be compatible with 32-bit systems, keep that in mind, but I believe it would be a little bit faster. It is also a larger download file. That is completely up to you. It should be the same install process, but like I said, we're going to be using the 32-bit version, so it's compatible with both 32 and 64-bit versions. It will not work with ARM, which is what Raspberry Pi runs off of, which is why it needs a separate image. So yeah, let's go ahead and... So, like I said, I already downloaded it, and it's going to be this file. It's going... The 32-bit is going to be Kali Linux 2020.3 live i386. And then we are going to go back to Balena Etcher. There it goes. We're going to then go ahead and plug our USB drive in. I'll go ahead and just do that. We have flashing blue. Kali was detected. I'm going to make sure that those files on it. Yeah, so like I said, those two files are still there. I'm going to go ahead and delete both those. And that should help speed up my process a little bit, because it still has to format the drive. And if there's nothing on the drive, it should be slightly faster. So this is going to be our ISO file. We're going to go ahead and open that. Select target. Like I said, the SanDisk Cruiser Glide 3.0 USB device. Select one and flash. It'll pop over there. It'll ask you to allow an unknown publisher to make changes to your device. You're going to hit yes. And it's going to start flashing. It says about 4 or 5 minutes. And make sure that this is still recording. Good. Yeah. And today we have a bit of a special appearance by Mr. Bossman Bear. You good boy. Go ahead and pull him up like that. And he's gonna sit right next to me. A little tight, but we can make it work. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and time lapse the rest so you guys don't have to wait. So I will see you guys in 3 minutes. Alright, it is now done. Windows will pop up with a warning telling you that you need to format the disk to use it. You're going to completely ignore that. As long as Etcher has said that it has completed, you can go ahead and close that, and you're going to cancel that. And then you're going to unplug your USB drive. So Windows won't, well, format it, because Windows still, it's going to read the ISO file that has now been kind of merged onto it as unreadable. So have that unplugged. I'm going to put that right there, and we can go ahead and start bringing all of what we need over. I don't know what's squeaking. I'm sure you guys hear it too. Yeah, it's really annoying. Sorry you guys have to deal with that. But, so we're going to go ahead and use our Raspberry Pi. So, for that we're going to be we're gonna need the HDMI cable. I'm not going to switch views just yet. I am going to go down here to my HDMI switch. And it's not reading an input yet, so it won't let me switch. It's wonderful. I'm going to take, this is a, you guys can see my tape, 5 volt 2 amp, 5 volt 2 amp USB brick. Out's put to USB-C. We're going to go ahead and plug that on in. There we go. Alright, there we go. So now our USB, micro USB is plugged in. These two are going to be specifically for this laptop, so we're going to go ahead and put that off to the side. If you guys want the live boot setup, that is going to be this time right here, or that timestamp. So go ahead and go to that if you guys want the setup just for the live boot. If not, you guys can stay here for the Raspberry Pi. So in my case, it has a small slot right there that you can put micro SD in. If you do not have a case for it, or if it's in a case and you can't access that, it'll be on the bottom of it, though there will be a micro SD slot on the end, and you guys will go ahead and just, wrong way obviously, and go ahead and just slide that in. Wrong way. Alright. I don't think there's a click or anything. I don't think it's one of the like self-ejecting ones. So pretty sure it's good. Just make sure it's in and not loose. So in my case, that is all set up. Now for this, we're going to go ahead and plug our HDMI cord in, and our switch now? No. Alright. So as this as we go ahead and plug it in, it'll automatically start up, so you don't have to push any buttons on the Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to this behind view that should capture the screen that I'm going to be working on, which is god awful. Not make it any better. It's really blown out. Alright. That helps a little. I just need to turn my exposure down just a tad bit, I think. That's on auto. Alright, I think that looks a little bit better. You guys will at least be able to see what's on screen until I can get into the operating system and install a screen recorder. So, a little sad, but we'll have to deal with it. So, we're going to go ahead and plug it in. It's going to boot like that. It's going to be a bunch of text, and it's going to be saying OK on the left side. As long as, I'm sorry, you guys can't really see that. As long as it's saying OK on the left side, you're good. If it starts saying fail, then it's going to have issues. I'm going to my software here and see if I can alright, so you guys can actually see now. You can't see it extremely well, but you can at least see what's going on. Resizing the root file system. So I'm going to unplug my keyboard and mouse. And we're going to go ahead and plug. Alright, so while that is doing that, let's switch to the top-down view. So we're going to take our keyboard and mouse, plug it in to any of the 4 USB, and switch it back to that view. Right around here, it'll say that my Razer keyboard and mouse have been detected. So that's what we want, because we want to make sure that they're actually working. In my case, the lights on my keyboard and mouse have lit up, so we know it's getting power and we know it's connected. Alright, that just resized the screen. I cannot see things. That camera there, so you guys can see what is going on. Yeah, so it's pretty much automatically setting everything up for you. Black screen. Worketh, yes. there we go. So now you're going to be the login screen. If you had a keyboard and mouse, it will be working. You can see my mouse right around where that login portion is. And you may be a little curious on why you have a login. Kali is going to be the username and password. No capitals, nothing like that. It is just Kali. Kali. There we go. So that is now logging in. Everything, you'll see a toolbar at the top. I'd say give it a minute or two, let everything inside the operating system load. There we go. I'm going to start with this full screen. Do that. I'm going to record sound from speakers. I don't know what that would record. Alright, there we go. Now you guys should be seeing my desktop, which, as you can see, is running pretty smoothly. It does take a second to load menus and stuff. You have, once you click on the little Kali icon in the top left corner, it'll bring up this menu where you can access your basic stuff here, and we'll have all of your connections. And you can see all of your different tools here. Now, so Kali has a cool built-in tool called Kali Undercover Mode. I just searched window and it is the last one. It is called Kali Undercover Mode. I'm going to launch that, and it's going to turn Kali into a Windows 10 system. There we go. So this is just mocking a Windows 10 system, obviously. It still has everything for Kali. But if a passerby were to see your screen, they wouldn't know that it was some malicious looking program or operating system. It would just look like Windows to them. And I mean, they did a pretty good job, because with it sitting on the main screen, it's extremely hard to tell. Whereas once you actually click on the Windows icon and it brings up all the different tools or groups of tools. And here you can go, desktop settings. And you would be able to change wallpapers and stuff like that. So now that we have that set up, we can go ahead and shut down our Raspberry Pi and move over to our live boot. Shut down. You're definitely going to want to change that password or create a new user, or well, definitely change that password, because anybody with that password will still be able to access the system in that case, and that's not quite something that we would want to happen. Go ahead and unplug all of that. We are now going to switch on over to our top down. There we go. And here's our live boot. That's an adapter we're going to need in order to use this otherwise Windows computer. So let's open it up and plug in our adapters. There's that one, and then I'm going to need this one. So that I can plug in that. And we're going to plug in our keyboard and mouse, as always. Here's the mouse. Just like that. It is on and working. Great. So we're going to switch to our behind view. Whoa, that. You guys can see that. Now it's not quite. I don't remember the password for this. Four zeros. Yeah, so machines I don't really use, I just use 4 zeros. We're going to let Windows load in. I know you guys can't see anything from the behind view. Skip. There it goes. So we're going to be I'm gonna restart it, but I'm trying to remember what the BIOS key is for this system. I think it's delete. Hold down shift anyway. So hopefully, actually I'm not gonna bother. I'm just gonna mash A. Delete worked. But I didn't have the USB device plugged in. Hello? There we go. So boot. Save changes, reset, save configuration. We're gonna mash delete again. Now with our USB device plugged in, we're going to go over to this menu and boot override for SanDisk. There we go. So once we boot from the SanDisk, this is going to be our screen. We're going to want, so you can use like Start Installer, which would allow you to install to the computer's hard drive, or whichever hard drive you choose. We're going to be wanting the live system. Oh, there it goes. There's our Kali logo, which is good. Alright, and you'll slowly start to notice a blue color from start at the bottom and slowly work its way up to the top. That is going to be the kind of loading bar. Maybe it's different. Hello, friend. Are you going to load? Load equal good. Good if it loads. Yeah, so there it goes. I haven't touched anything. If you get a black screen, but the computer's still on and your monitor's still receiving input, just give it a little bit of time. Like I said, it takes a few minutes to load off of the live boot. Yeah, I can move that around. There that goes. Boppity-boppity-boo. And it's going to do the same thing that we just talked about. Eventually it'll pop up with a bar at the top. And you should be set. Also right click and hit desktop settings and you'll get to choose a lot there. You'll get to this, in which case you can choose whichever desktop background you would like. I'm going to go with kind of a more modern design, background or grayish black. Could do that one. Or could do that one. That one's a little busy. I guess we'll do that one. Menus, icons, stuff like that. And you can go ahead and close. I just realized something. I mean, I shut it down, but I never actually stopped recording on the Raspberry Pi. So I don't know if it actually saved that file. Yeah, so now you're in the operating system, and obviously the first time ever that you load it, it will be slow, and it might not load everything that it needs to. Like here, it's not loading the desktop background, or not background, desktop menu. Menu. And there's the background, it's just Windows open. Yeah, this is weird. It's not loading anything. Sure, it'll eventually load if I restart it, but that was setting up our Raspberry Pi and our live boot. So next video we may be checking out another hacking operating system. We may be working on a different project, or we may be doing just a general how-to video of something. So if you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more, please comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Yeah.